It looks as though the rival, WCW, is, unless they find a new buyer, maybe finished. As we tape the show, it's all up in the air. Before we get into it further, on the surface, what's your reaction? And why do you think that that company failed while the company that you guys are a big part of right now continues to succeed?
I feel like I'm hogging all the talk time. You guys want to answer?
Well, like, we've actually been talking about it today, and we always try to keep up with what's going on because it's a concern of ours. But, that sucks. I mean, we need the competition. It always makes us stronger. Even, I mean, internally it's good, as our locker room being really full right now. It's that competition internally is good for us. At the same time, we have no competition out there, and I mean, it's a really bad situation. As far as them failing, I don't know exactly because I wasn't there behind the scenes, but I mean, I hope something works out for them just because it'll be, I mean, better to keep the progression forward and keep business moving forward.
Their show just grew terrible to me. I mean, it was horrible. Some of the times I would watch it and compare it to ours. Man, I mean, what do you do? They have all the talent in the world,
right? All
the money, but just not the right direction.
Also, it seemed like they kept trying to redirect, but they wouldn't do it long enough to see if it would catch on. They'd say, let's try this, and then they'd do that for 2 weeks, and they go, oh, ratings didn't go up. Let's try this, and obviously it's going to take a while to catch on. You know.
I think one of the major points, Vince McMahon and the McMahons are a wrestling family. The people who were running WCW, you know, they've had different people who were the head, but, you know, basically Tom Warner, you know, their specialty isn't wrestling, you know, where the McMahons are. And here, Vince McMahon is the final word, and when he says something, that's what goes. And down there were so many people giving out orders of command, there was, like, no set, you know, there was no set order down there. Which you have people doing, you know, there's mutiny down there, and there always has been, just because there's not one person that directly answers.
It seemed like people weren't in sync. There'd be camera angles. They were missing, like, the main entire transitional point of the match, and you're like, well, what just happened? And you could assume what would happen. The camera would miss that, and you could tell the same finish would happen back-to-back matches. The agents weren't communicating. It just seemed like, you know, like what Matt was saying. A lot of people were having the final say in it.
Now, a group like 3 Count, a group you ran Omega Pro with, right? They may be looking for work. Is there a concern that you guys have? These are friends of yours, right?
Sugar Shane and Shannon Moore.
But duplication, to me, would be a concern. And those guys, you know, look and act and, I think, wrestle, to their credit, pretty similarly.
Right. Well, yeah, you know, I love those guys to death, and we would do anything to help them. I don't know if, you know, duplication, I don't know if there's going to be room for a 3 count in the WWF if there's already, you know, the original Hardy Boys, or so many people say. And I don't think it's necessarily they were going out trying to copy us. I think that's kind of the role they put them in. Because WCW, once again, WWF would come up with something successful. They'd say, well, what can we do to make something similar to that? Well, these two guys, they worked with them and they wrestle similar. Let's kind of push them along that same path. You know, so I hope something works out for all those guys, just for the sake of.
Because it's got to be a concern in your locker room, right? The fact that, I mean,
absolutely.
While WWF does really well, as soon as you take WCW out of the mix, now all of a sudden, you guys don't have a union. But that, in one sense, was your union, because there was always some place that you could go. There was always competition,
and there was balance.
Right, absolutely.
It's going to be really interesting. I mean, if the wrestling becomes just Vince McMahon and the WWF and a monopoly, I just don't know. It's going to be really interesting to see if that, you know, works, how that works for us. I mean, there's some ways where I can see there'd be advantages, and there's some ways where, you know, there could be a lot of disadvantages.
I was just going to say, I mean, you're always, this job is so volatile, and you never know when things are going to go, but there's a level of, I feel like a lot of people in the locker room just have a level of comfort. You always know you're not going to go anywhere, but you can kind of be yourself and say, well, what about this, or what about this, and it might make people be less creative because they don't want to speak up because they say, well, I don't want to get fired, I have nowhere to go, so let me just almost keep my head down, as opposed to, you know, be very thankful where you are, but kind of comfortable enough to say, well, I was thinking about this, what do you think? You know, and then it's like, you're fired.
You guys are great. Thanks very much for your candor, by the way. We'll take a break. We got a few more minutes left to talk. We'll talk about WrestleMania, which we should tell the folks at home, if you're interested, call your local cable company and get hooked up for this evening, or go to a local Famous Players Theater and you can check out WrestleMania X7. Here's some email that we received. Michael, way to go bringing Lita back on the show. Maybe if you're lucky, she'll hold you down while the Hardy Boys are busting your pretty face.
Now, see, that's not right. There's no justice in the world.
Actually, you know what? That's at least part of that is working for me.
All right.
There's our website. There's our email. There's our fax number. Back with more OTR in a moment. You know, one of the joys of this job is meeting people that you see performing on television. They assume a role or not a role. They act in a certain way. And then you just sit them down and you go, what? You know what? Good guys, good folks. It was a pleasure. Lita, Matt and Jeff Hardy, thanks for joining us in the show. And one of the things that we're doing here today is talking about WrestleMania. We tell the folks at home, if you'd like to watch this evening to WrestleMania X7, always the premier event of the year, on Sunday, you can call your local cable company to get connected, or, of course, go to Famous Players Theater and watch it live on the big screen. You guys, exciting. Yeah, absolutely. You guys are wrestling. It's a three-way tag team match, right?
Dudley's, Christian and Edge. We're going to have a big blow-off. We've done it 2 times before.
TLC 2.
And we're going to go out there. We're going to give the people a WrestleMania type match.
This is your second WrestleMania, right?
This is my second. I was just in Access last year, so I was kind of a part of it.
This is your first time on the big card?
My first time, yeah.
So tell me the hype, the vibe at something like WrestleMania as it differs from even a Raw or a Thursday night show.
Oh, it's just unbelievable. I mean, as a kid, WrestleMania is the ultimate platform, you know, for professional wrestling, and being able to participate in WrestleMania, this is our second, and it's going to be the biggest one, you know, as far as like revenue and publicity of all time. So we're hyped, we're jacked, we're amped.
Right, you guys were wrestling fans growing up, North Carolina, right? Mm-hmm. So is that Ric Flair?
Yeah, we saw a lot of NWA. We saw some WWF as well. Ric Flair was definitely a big influence on us.
Mm-hmm. Lita, who was?
I got in really
Isn't
late.
the story on you that you actually were watching some wrestling?
Yeah, it was
called down in Mexico, got on a plane.
Ago. Yeah, so the Mexicans were the first. Rey Mysterio was the first. Right as they were bringing the Mexicans into the WCW, is really what kind of sparked me. And then so from there, I've tried to do my homework.
They didn't
make
you put on a mask, did they?
No, I asked. I wanted to be on the mask.
That's a waste. Should this woman be wearing a mask?
No, I don't.
No, you don't get a vote. You didn't even like kissing her.
See, that's not right.
You know what? I'm so disappointed in that. I'm going to talk to you later.
You misinterpreted that.
Well, that's my job in the media.
Well,
take what they say, put it in a new direction, put a spin on it, make it look bad. That's my job.
Definitely, good
guys.
Spin you put there.
You know what? A total pleasure. Matt and Jeff Hardy, Lita. I hope when you travel through Toronto that you'll do it again. All the Canadians, 4 of them tomorrow on OTR. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, Michael.